So you must be a huge sports fan because you like baseball and
Yeah.
football and.
Yeah, that's how we grew up. A lot of sports, and like we were mixed farmers, right?
Yeah.
And my grandpa died in 1981, and my dad was one of 8. So the option was, and he'd been farming with grandpa, so the option was you either buy out now, and my dad didn't want to do anything other than farm, right?
Yeah.
Or you find something else to do. So we bought the farm, and as a 9-year-old, I remember not knowing exactly what 18% interest was, but I knew it was bad. Well, maybe that's a good place to start. Just maybe like a little bit of how you grew up and where you grew up, and start there.
I grew up in the Golden Prairie area. So when I graduated from school, I had actually applied to Moose Jaw. I was going into marketing. Okay. And at that particular time, the Rural Municipality come along and they said, our administrators retiring. It's hard to get administrators coming into small communities. Would you ever consider taking the administrative course? So, I thought about it a bit, and I thought, well, what the heck? I like the rural life and everything. So I took the course, and I was administrator there for 34 years before I retired. And so it was a way of being able to be part of the farm and having some off-farm income at the same time. And it's been rewarding,
Yeah. So was that something like when you guys were growing up, or any of you, like what sort of drove you to get involved with local politics?
All those years as administrator, I enjoyed the job and the people for the most part. There's always those days. But, when I retired from that, I left the office for a few years. And then, ratepayers come along and said, would you ever consider running for REAP? And I said, well, it's been good and it's treated me well, so why not give back, right? So, just trying to do the best we can to make things better.
Yeah.
Well, I was born and raised in Fox Valley, and when I got out of high school, I went and I took an agriculture technician course. Okay. Took it 1 year for just my heart was always the farm. Always wanted to farm as a kid. I've been involved with the farm since I started driving a tractor when I was 9 years old. So literally loved it every day. Loved running equipment and all that and that. And so our farm did a big expansion a couple years ago, and I became a counselor here 2 years ago because basically there's no one that wanted it. And so I got a phone call one day that said, would you be interested in doing this? Because there really isn't any interest in anyone in your area. Yeah. So I said, oh, what the heck? I'll see what it's about. And I never really, and I was telling Reeve before, we never had talked about our R.M. much at all about a lot of things. Never had a lot of complaints. And now I've learned what people complain about and this and that, and it's eye-opening.
It is. Yeah. Kelly looks like he's got some stories.
When I got out of school, we had a backhoe business on my farm, and it had been in 83. They started doing experimental drilling gas wells, and we were the only excavating company around. Oh, wow. So from 84 on, for 19 years, we built leases for the rigs. And then slowly everything petered out. I was on the credit union board of directors for, it's going to be 39 and a half years right now. So I've done a lot of governance training, and I took a lot of different courses. And then the Reeve got sick. He knew I was quite involved with governance training. And he asked if I would consider being a Reeve because I've never been on RM Council. And so I said, sure. I sat in on a meeting and I said, sure, I can handle that. And so then I've been a Reeve now for 5 years, and it's been great. Really enjoy it. We got a really good board right now.
It's
council.
Yeah.
Council.
Yeah. So you went right from not being on council to being Reeve?
Yeah. And then we farm with, we got our three boys and a daughter all want to be involved in the farming. So we got a big family farm. Yeah. My grandpa homesteaded there.
So it's been in your family
since 1912.
1912. That's the same for our homestead
same,
too.
Same ours, yeah. It's
12?
Same, about the same year.
How about you guys?
Oh, well, I went off the map actually a little bit.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. So right out of high school, I started working at a funeral home, and I worked as a funeral director and embalmer for 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, in Medicine Hat. I also
Okay.
worked for the Attorney General of Alberta. So that's any highway accidents or
Yeah.
anything like that. I'd
Oh,
attend
goodness.
and remove the deceased and do all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then after about 5 years, I came back and I worked in the gas patch and helped my dad farm. And I've been doing cattle and grain ever since. And this would be my third term that I'm serving on council. It started out that we were just about roads.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
boy, has it evolved into emergency response planning. We're here today because, we're trying to advocate for our area, and it's become a lot more advanced job than we once were.
Yeah. And that governance training comes in, but yeah, you find yourselves, and I think no matter size of the communities that you represent, I think that's something you hear from leadership, that there's a lot that's being downloaded, and decisions,
Yeah.
problems
Yeah.
are a lot more complex maybe
Yeah.
than they were in the past.
Yeah.
How long's the farm been in your family?
My grandpa, do you know
I
Grandpa
don't know
Dan?
what year that he kind of
1920 something he came, Grandpa.
Yeah,
It was
so
20,
when
I
he
think
came
it's
to the area,
25,
they
26.
switched locations a few times, so that he's on the original homestead now.
Okay.
We'd be
So-
getting close to 100 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
100 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of changes over that time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Farms.
Yeah. Our dad worked, he was a mechanic, worked
Okay.
off the farm
Yeah.
and did that and farmed at the same time. And I think we've all had jobs off the farm as well as on the farm. And cattle has always been a part of my life. Quentin's just strictly a grain farmer. And then Darcy, there wasn't you were
I left
in
the farm in 86.
Yeah, but you went as a highway patrolman initially.
Yeah. Started working in Alberta and Whitecourt. I've been kind of all over Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba with my career. But yeah, I left in 86, and I said, as the saying goes, you can take the boy out of the country, but not the country out of the boy, and it's so true.
Yeah.
I have so myself, just being here today is I have very little financial reason to be here. It doesn't. I've got 2 quarters of land, and and I'd probably have a hell of a time to rent those 2 quarters if my brothers didn't farm it, because it's so dry and shitty
Right.
out there, right? But it's it's terrible when you live in this area, and I've been living in this area now for since 2015. And when you drive from this area and you drive out there, it's like, what the hell? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
you look at the crops around here and you go like, what is going on? And it's hard to see that, like in these guys, Fox Valley, Richmond, that whole area, it's hard to see that area when you were raised there.
Yeah, to see what's happening.
Yeah, like it's got to be tough. I can't imagine being these guys.
Mhm.
My situation's a lot different, but it's got to be tough.
We talked a little bit about that today, going into talking to the media, and again, I just want to say, thank you for, being the ones to stick your hands up and
The suckers.
no, but there are pressures.
Yeah.
And you talked a little bit about that. To not speak up, folks are proud. They don't want to say when they need help, and you're taught to just dig in and do the work and try to make things
Yep.
as best you can. But sometimes, it's important that people put their hands up, at least so people know what's going on. Like, one of the things you were mentioning, this area, like 100-mile radius, 9 years of drought. I think a lot of people in the province knew when there was a wider spread drought going back a number of years. I think it is a surprise, unless people know someone in the area or live in the area, that this has been going on for 9 years, and the extent of the drought and the lakes and the the sloughs and the water sources all drying up. That is a bit extraordinary. Like you said, it's not like this was trying to grow in a desert here. Well, current conditions, but this has been productive farmland. This has been a place that has provided for cattle and for producers producing.
I think it's really hard for people to relate when they're not in the business. Like you hear the government talking, well, there are programs. Yeah, but those programs in place need to be adjusted to, be modernized to our needs. And if you're not involved, it's really hard to understand, well, why aren't they using the programs? They're there. And it's tough to get people to relate to that.
I don't think people understand the attachment to the land that a producer has, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of producers out there that are probably very private. They don't want to express their problems or whatever, but there's a lot of financial issues. And that's probably one of the worst stresses you can have.
Yeah. It is. I mean, the financial stress. You can make me emotional too. But the feeling, like 100 years in your family, and doing every bloody thing you can to make it work.
Yeah, the problem is the crop insurance. When our every year our coverage drops. Every year you're in it, it drops. So it's dropping. But the prices were decent. But the prices have got to our coverage has dropped so much, and now with the tariff wars. It's just brought our grain prices down, so
we have no coverage.
It just hit bottom this year.
Yeah, and as you said, these are programs that maybe you have 1 year, 2 years, in a bad stretch you've got 3, but 9. Your reference margin, everything is just blown out of the water.
They can sustain our yields at this level, but you multiply that by the low bushel prices. I mean, it's not, nothing is nothing really, that's what it boils down.
Well, then you've got another whammy with the price, and then input costs, right? Like, Kelly, you talked about this, and wasn't something I had thought of until we were out meeting with you earlier this summer. It's not like you can just leave it there, and then you do get a rain, and all of a sudden, the only thing that sprouts up is a whole bunch of kochia and weeds, and then you've got extra input costs. Like the kind of equipment we were using in the 80s or even 10 years ago. It wasn't $1.4 million for a new tractor.
And our land is good land because my in-laws live in Eston, which is rated A on crop insurance, so the best land in Saskatchewan. And when we were getting the same amount of rains as they were, we would out-yield them 2 out of 5 years. So it's not bad land. It's just the lack of rain.
Yeah, you've been dealt.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know who in the province is. Even in the 30s, I don't know.
Trent maybe shared with you, but I have samples of grain from my grandpa who homesteaded the place, and in the 30s he kept the samples and wrote the yield and the year and stuff. And three of the years in the 30s they thrashed 25 bushel an acre or better.
Yeah, fertilizer.
We haven't thrashed that in the last 5 years total.
And we're putting 150, 200 pounds of fertilizer with that yet. We're still getting nothing. It's
and the input costs on top.
Like one thing I've noticed this fall, and it's again, if something doesn't change next year, the amount of land rent that's come up this year. I know friends of mine that they were about a 5,000 to 7,000 acre farm. They're almost going to a third less. Like 1,500, they're dropping 1,500 acre packages of rented land. They've rented them for 10, 15 years. They're dropping it.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that, like investor land, guys that they just say, piss on this. Why pump in, see if they're paying $80 an acre, you're only covered for 120. If you're paying $80 rent, there's $40 left. How do you make money?
There's no chance.
There's no chance.
You just can't.
You're in the hole right out of the gate, you're without even putting a crop in.
The comment I hear at coffee talk, and there's a lot of BS, don't get me wrong.
Sometimes there's got to be a little bit of that.
But at the costs or our guarantees of crop insurance, if nothing changes, there's lots of people saying, well, I might as well not even be in it, because if I have to depend on that, we're losing the farm anyways. So next year is the year.
And this is something we were talking about. Like I know you guys have been talking about this for a while. I found an article from at least 2 years ago, raising the alarm. But this year, and Kaylin, you talked about this as well, this is really critical. Like you can only hold us ahead so far.
And that's why I state between 50 and 75. Guys are that's how much they're gonna decrease those farms. Like no hands down, because they're just gonna farm the land that they own. And if they don't own that land, they're just gonna put it up for sale.
And walk away.
Walk away.
You know what I found so frustrating today was the ag minister, and he's asked a question, and it's like he has zero interest in our cause, our problem. We've got programs. Yes, but we know they got programs. He never did say anything. Got programs, but they don't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what have you done to try
Change
and
them.
help the area? You know, nothing is what I can gather, because it's always the same song and dance.
Yeah, and twice he just echoed the same answer, meaningless answer.
I was wondering about that. Like, your question period isn't the most normal situation, but these are real questions. I don't think we torque the questions a lot. I am biased, I will acknowledge that, but these are real questions that we've heard you talk about, real concerns put forward, and I know that you have been putting forward not only, hey, here's the problem, right, but here's something that would make it better. This is something that could fix the problem for folks, and no one else wants to be in this situation, but for this relatively small number of producers in the province, this is something that would at least give the hope for January and be able to pull people through, and hopefully the rains hit and we get a lot of snow for a few years in a row. But I guess Kelly already talked about it, to hear the responses in the legislature. What about responses away from the legislature? Like, do you think people understand what you're going through? Do you think people understand the need for some of these changes?
I think most farmers really understand the situation to some extent. Like they understand the cost of production, they understand the cost of machinery, but I don't know if they understand how much poorer our coverages are than everywhere else in the province.
Because they've not tried to pull it through for 9 years.
Yeah.
There's areas when they say they have a drought, they don't know what a true drought is. I mean, like they have a drought and they're maybe getting 30-40 bushels an acre. I mean, we're getting 3 and 4 bushels an acre.
Well, I think Trent didn't tell me that story. And I think people, when they think of the worst drought that they can think of the 30s, right? And you're saying with evidence that this is that was not even close to what you guys are going through right now.
Yeah.
Do you think people understand the urgency? Like how critical this
I don't know
period
if
is?
our government in power understands the urgency, because they keep dodging it, I mean, like, it's a large region, and if, like Kaylin says, if 50% of the farms are gone, well, think about that. What actually happens to that land? Does it just let it go? Turn it,
Well, I can feel the emotion, and I'm almost reluctant to ask the question, because I know this is going to be hard.
Ask it.
Okay. What's at risk? Maybe let's start from the positive and think that maybe we can raise the alarm enough to get someone's attention, who can make a difference here. We'll continue to do that, but I think it's important for people to understand what's at stake. I mean,
Small generation farms, that's right there.
You're going to lose a whole gap,
You're going to have
mini generation.
It's going to turn into huge corporations, because they're the only ones that are going to come in, or how do I call these? That are going to come in, walk in, buy up all this cheap land eventually or something, and goodbye to your small town, small community farms. Plain and simple.
Yeah, small towns disappear, small business disappears.
In our area, we have a lot of young people, a lot of young farmers, and they can't hold on. They're going to have to go back to the city and take their families back to the city.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, they're not going to want to farm. I remember back in the early days, guys had seen some drought in the 80s and stuff like that. They all walked away from the farm because they didn't like it. Yeah. That's happening now already. That's not.
This is worse than the 80s.
It is worse than the 80s.
We just had a few years in a row.
In the 80s, it wasn't as expensive.
No.
Yeah.
These few friends of mine have gotten into farming here in the last, come back to the farm from oil patch and stuff in the last few years.
Yeah.
Because some years were not bad, and now they're getting a real bad taste in their mouth. It is horrible. Like it is. Even myself, I've been involved with farms since I've been born, and it's tough. Like I don't know. Oil patch looks pretty good, in my opinion.
Well, there's a comment I share with Quentin all the time. And I said, you know, through all these 9 years, I've learned to resent or hate the farm, the grain farm. I love it, but I've learned to absolutely, I have a hatred for it as well, because it's so tough, and it seems like you're knocking down a door every corner you turn.
I got 2 boys that would love to farm, and I tell them, you know, I can give you everything I have, land, equipment, everything, and I said, you will not survive. And people don't believe that, but that's the God's truth.
If I may just say something, because I'm kind of like you, Carla. I'm an outsider looking in, and I don't experience what they're going through, but it's almost impossible for you and I actually to be, I guess, empathetic to a situation that we haven't experienced. That's why I don't think the government gets involved as much. If the ag minister had land out there, he sure as heck would maybe be getting involved more. But people can't imagine going out there and seeing what it's like. And the only way you're going to get attention to that is like Kaylin said, you go out there and you see all the fences, they're covered by kochia, and until people see that, how can you bring a cause to this for people to be concerned? They don't care about farmers out there. The only ones who care about themselves are the ones that are out there. And you know, when we talk about a drought, like when I go out to the farm, I feel like it's still a piece of me when I go out there. But I even hate going out there. I hate going out there to see what my brothers have to go through.
I think another problem is, though, it's not like the economy is in a drought, so to speak. Like you look at small business, it's not just farmers. It's hard to get somebody in small business that is suffering as bad as we are to be sympathetic to our needs, right? There's so much need, but not enough to go around. That's the problem we're in right now in this old world.
But you know, the federal government with their tariff wars and stuff, we should not be seeing grain under $7.
No.
You know, like when was it 3-4 years ago? Price of drum was $22. And now it's down less than $7. There's something wrong with the system.
There's a disconnect there.
If Durham was $22, we would be sitting at this table right now.
Exactly.
My 5 bushels would be worth
10
something.
would be enough then.
Well, and I think that's an important point. Like, and I know that you took pains to say this, and I think understand this. It's not just one thing. You guys are doing everything that you can, but this has been the length of the drought, the price of grain, the price of what
And
you need to sell the low, the low
yields,
the input costs, all of those things. I hope, like you keep saying, like, hopefully this is just this is the last rough patch. Give people some hope, get through, make some longer term changes on the business risk management side of things. But this is a really, really critical point right now. And if we want to continue, and I think in this province we talk a lot about the ag sector, we talk a lot about small towns and the importance, and I think for the most part we mean that. But what you're telling me here is that there's a lot that's at stake. There's not only, this is huge, right? Generational farms, whole communities, small businesses, and when that pulls out, then you have large corporate farms who, I don't mean like corporate farms. I mean the big, that you can only you need people in communities to be able to sustain the curling rink, the schools, the businesses.
And we might be the guinea pigs now, but there's some area down the line that is going to go through it too. And so I think everyone at this table, we're not just fighting our fight. We're fighting everyone's fight to improve things.
You can't imagine really how resilient the people have been, like over this time period too. Like they've been still the best stewards of the land. They're still out there doing whatever they can to take care of that land on such a minimal budget. You know, it's they don't give up.
No, they don't. You know, the day that we met out at Golden Prairie there, boy, it was like a movie and was the sky, like golden. It just was like the best, the most aptly named community, right? You're coming in from the south there and the hills and the light and then you roll into the R.M. office and the coffee pot is on, of course, and you sit down and people are pretty practical. They're pretty straight shooters. You know, this is worth fighting for. This is a way of life that is important to the people at this table, but to the people of this province. And you're right. Even if you're long off the farm and you know the equipment doesn't look anywhere near what it looked like, it gets in your heart. And you know this is.
And you know we represent our communities. We could, if we had to have all of people trying to voice their opinions, we'd have like 300 or 400 people in here.
Yeah.
You know, we're part of the R.M.s. We're representing our ratepayers.
Yeah. And it's not, and I think this is an important part because this is also what I know about people in this province. Like, sure, they've got a pretty good sense of where the problems are, and you get the odd phone call, you know, that you think, well, as you said, Kaylin, you know, people complain about things you didn't think to complain about. But for the most part, people are pretty practical. They want to see things get done. And you guys have been putting forward solutions all the way along. Some really practical changes to that 5-year reference or you know, we've heard, let's strike a drought committee so that we can be prepared for these areas that are having longer periods of drought. Capital gains on cattle so that you know, having a 10-year ability to defer so that you're not going to pay a bunch of income tax on money that you need to buy those cattle back when the rains come and you've got some hay and water for them again, right?
Should almost be on farmland and stuff too for those because there's going to be some that are going to have to sell, right? And
yeah,
that's 1 year away, and we all know we are closer to that than we are to a good crop.
With crop insurance, and I'm not knowledgeable in crop insurance whatsoever, but why isn't there an option for farmers to opt in? Like most insurances, you can get the best insurance or you can get varying grades of insurance. There is. But why can't, like you had mentioned today to Trent, like why can't you opt into crop insurance for $250 an acre so you protect your farm, but you're willing to pay for that? If it costs you another $50,000, I bet you every farmer would sign up for that.
That's what we'd like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why that can't exist.
Well, I think it's a practical question to be asking, and again, I'm not an actuary. I'm not someone who knows that knows crop insurance that well. But it's a question that's worth asking for sure. And like you said, it's not like you're asking for something that you're not willing to pay for. You're just asking for the product to be able to actually insure against the costs that you're incurring.
Yeah,
exactly.
And this won't improve overnight. I mean, it's going to have to be looked at over years, but we need some change to start, and then let's build off that change. Like, we know it won't be perfect moving forward because everything evolves, and you just got to keep going. But we need a starting point, and that's the starting point.
Yeah. Well, and something, and I think you guys have done a great job. And you know, we've seen other groups come out and ask for similar things. The first step to fixing it is acknowledging that there's an issue. And, you know, when you're defending the status quo, it's hard to have an opening for change.
I love Trent's comment in there today where he said in question period, do you think they'd really be here if there wasn't a problem?
Yeah.
And that's so true. We would not be here if there wasn't a problem.
And it's... I think that was mentioned as well, how you've had comments like from folks, and it is hard especially to be the first one to stand up. Maybe talk a little bit about what gave you the courage or propelled you to say, hey, we can't be quiet about this anymore.
I think we all represent the people in our municipalities, and that's, I take that personal.
Yeah.
That's our job, to
It
represent
is.
those people.
Mhm.
That's why I'm here. Like, I can probably muscle through a little bit more because it's been farming a long time.
Mhm.
And it would be easy to throw my hat in if I didn't have boys that want to take over.
Yeah.
But I'm here because I think as being a municipal official, that's a responsibility we took on.
I had ratepayers call me and say, hey, is there something the RM can do?
Mhm.
So being a part of the RM, I felt it was our duty to stand up and try to get help.
So you're the voice of a lot of folks who
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
who don't have the platform or the ability, like you said, a lot of folks are working off.
I think initially, you see the problems on your own farm,
Mhm.
and then it comes up a little bit here and there, whether it's a hockey rink or whatever, people are complaining, and then all of a sudden it's a pattern, and they're complaining, and all of a sudden, well, there's a lot of truth to this, and when you hear repetition over and over, and you start digging, you realize how bad the situation is actually.
We hear this on a lot of fronts with a lot of issues, but there are a lot of people who are holding a lot of stress, a lot of shame, a lot of emotions, right? And when someone is able to stand up and say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, more often than not, way more often than not, you got a lot of people who are like, geez, me too, right? I thought I was the only one. Or
Yeah.
What is the
Other
best
person.
show on TV? Ones you can relate to.
yeah.
Hey, I that's that happens to me too, and
Yeah. It doesn't take it away, but it
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm normal,
Yeah. It's not
One
just
of
me.
one of the things there.
Oh, now we've got controversial here.
I don't know about you're normal because you are an undertaker.
Yeah, what did you say now?
Trent said one thing today too, and he basically said it's a fairly small area, and I don't think it's that small because we put it's 100-mile circle.
Mhm.
How many acres is that? See, like if they put an acreage on it, it's got to be over 1 million acres that were
Oh, yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
Like that's not a tiny spot.
Yeah.
That's affecting a lot of people.
It is.
Imagine the amount of food that these farmers have raised for the world.
Yeah, what's been done with that?
What's been done with that land?
Yeah.
Now you just can't toss these producers aside and
Yeah.
put your blinders on.
Mm-hmm.
I was just really impressed with the way you and Trent plead for us today. I was very upset with the answers that the Ag Minister gave.
Well, you guys, honestly, maybe like what Quentin said, I think our job is to represent people of this province the best we can. And, if you were getting answers, we're probably not having this conversation, right? But when I see that there are reasonable, good, hardworking people who are, doing everything they can to put forward some solutions that are going to save a whole lot of people, a whole lot of communities from a whole lot of hurt, and they're not even getting audience, they're not getting respect, they're not getting solutions, you made it easy for us to stand up and...
I've got more, not so much a comment, but advice to your government.
Okay.
Of course, you've had a lot of city seats.
Yeah.
And if you want to form the next government, my advice is we need to hear your sincerity for agriculture as well, right? Because
Yeah.
that'll buy a lot of rural votes. Because there's a lot of people not happy with the present government, but we need to know that something's going to be better if we vote for your party, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is important, and it's important.
And you need a really good rep in our area.
Well, I'm looking for candidates.
Were you picking your nose?
You're saying me.
Well, I just want to take the opportunity to thank each and every one of you. So I've had a lot of contact with Trent, all your staff that have phoned me, and I've had countless conversations. Truly professional, and when I sit next to you, I feel like you're just, and I know you're a woman, but you're one of the boys. You're not a politician.
I only take compliment, no offense to that.
You're not a politician. You're
Yeah.
just one of us here looking for a solution, and I cannot thank you enough. And I truly truly hope that I'm sitting beside the next Premier of Saskatchewan.
Well, thank you. It's you make me.
You're a very down to earth person. I was.
Well, we haven't even cracked out a beer, and I haven't even
I was
sworn
wondering what
yet.
I was wondering what you were going to be like. But
I was trying to describe to Darcy because I've been talking about the NDP and he hasn't met any of you. And
I said to the boys, my brothers, this is kind of a bit off topic, but I said to them last election I voted for the NDP party in this province for the first time.
Oh,
Because I am sick of the
Yeah.
SAS party, what they're doing.
yeah.
I mean, and there's no reason for any of it. So
You can't take people for granted. And you know the thing that really makes me the most angry when I look over, sorry, you got me. But when I look over and if we ask a question about ag or rural Saskatchewan, and I recognize, I can see the map. We represent mostly right now the cities and the north. And we did see our vote share go up in a lot of places outside. But if we stand up and ask a question, and like we're not making these questions up. Like today, those questions I asked, we're not making them up. And I see them guffaw and, oh, you don't know, this a bunch of front benchers who I know never had shit on their boots, right? And they act like they own rural Saskatchewan. None of us should ever feel like we own anyone in this province. We should never feel like we don't have to respond to people's concerns because we've won that constituency by 70% every election. Doesn't matter. And you have my guarantee, whether, we win and we don't, represent your R.M.s in that legislature, we still represent your R.M.s in that legislature. That's how you govern.
I'll use the word stale because I do believe you can become stale over time. You need some fresh ideas, fresh.
Not thinking what's best for everybody.
You start defending your policy. Like you hear this, and I've heard this from people who have served in government for a long time of all political stripes. After a while, you get in, you're hungry, you want to bring the concerns of people forward, and then you're in there for a long time and you find yourself defending the status quo. And I think that's it. And I've never asked any of you, if you've got a card in your wallet, it doesn't matter to me. Like you can't act like everyone that
I do, but it's maxed out.
I've got 2 kids in university, but it doesn't matter. So we agree on this. That you bring me a good case, we'll go forward. It doesn't matter if we agree on 100% of things, right?
Well, that's what's wrong with government nowadays. I mean, surely to God that whatever government you choose, they're not always wrong. If it's something good, it should be supported, right? Like it's
You know what I kind of get frustrated with? There's a lot of policy, or not policies, government. It's not what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. It's how bad the other guys are doing. Mm-hmm. I want to hear a freshness of what you're going to do for me.
Yeah.
We get caught up in, they did that and that's bad, and they did that and that's bad. Yeah. Well, I want to hear what you're going to do for me.
Yeah. And like I keep referencing, I think that's super important. Like in question period, right? It's 25 minutes out of the day. And it's probably the thing that most people see. It's probably the most theatrical piece of all of this. But okay, when you're done yelling at each other, are people able to pay their bills? Is there hope for the future? Are we putting the work in to make sure that our kids are set up for? We had a pretty damn good life in this province, right? The same kind of life that we've had. Or are you just, very content to read some lines about how good things are and ignoring the voices of people who are coming here to their legislature to tell you, hey, you need a little work over here.
Yeah. I think in rural constituencies too, like the opposition parties, it's sometimes you end up with a last minute candidate.
Yeah.
And it's an unknown person, you know nothing about them, and I don't know how you change that, but you need to have people in place sooner so that they can start winning those votes long before, a month before the election, right?
Yeah, I don't know if the cameras are still rolling, but I'll give you some of the yeah, I agree with you 100%. I was, people can't people want to know, and especially in rural Saskatchewan, I think they want to know someone who's local, someone who they can trust, someone, I mean, all of you who serve, you know, you say, oh, I was the only one who would do it. There's a reason people asked all of you. They saw you as having some characteristics that they thought you'd make a good leader, right? So don't dismiss that.
Even if you're the only one.
I don't believe that about him. But they want to get to know you. They want to know. I started out kind of thinking that people didn't know, you know, me certainly, and there's this, you know, caricature of New Democrats or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, never been on a farm, don't know anything about a farm, whatever, and you know, wanted to go out and say like, hey, we like beer, we like oil and gas, we like jobs, we like the farm, we like baseball, whatever. But the other piece, I was out at my cousin's bull sale. This is just after I became leader, and I saw this guy, and he said, well, he looked at me and said, what the, like his mouth was like this, what the hell are you doing here? And it's called my last name's in the name of the bull sale, my cousin's bull sale. But, and then he said, oh, okay, you're related to Hero. Who's your dad? You know, and, oh, I played hockey against your dad. You know, just like people want to know that you relate to them.
Yeah.
And then he started telling me some things. And when I didn't react to him, I think he thought in my head, he was like this, oh, she's a New Democrat, so she's got to think these things. And I didn't react to him. I agreed with him on some of it. Then all of a sudden, you know, he was willing to sit and talk a bit. I guess more to the point, when you get away from the social media, whatever, and people can sit around a table and have a real conversation and find common ground on some things. It doesn't have to be everything. I guarantee you, I don't agree with anyone 100% on anything probably, but you can find common ground. You see, oh, this is a practical person who sees me, values me and my life and my community. You can get a lot of things done. Or you can just sit and yell at each other and point fingers and be content with what's going on. And I think we chose the other path.
I just want to make a comment to you. If people get to know you like we have, it's a no-brainer. Absolutely a no-brainer.
Well, get to know my team, and then it's
That's the only good thing out of all this. If it wouldn't be for this drought, we wouldn't have met you, and we wouldn't have met Trent, not in this environment anyhow, right? Like,
And all the rest of the staff. And like
they're
I said,
pretty
it's
good-
just been
pretty good
awesome.
crew. Yeah, well, thank you, and you guys make it easy. We didn't even talk baseball. Trent said we're going to talk baseball.